My name is Sarah. I am 32 years old. And for most of my life, I believed family was the only thing you could trust. I thought blood was thicker than water. I thought love meant sacrifice. I was wrong. Very wrong. Because 3 months ago, the people who gave me life sat me down at their kitchen table and asked me to pay a debt. A debt I did not owe. A debt of $510,000. All because of my brother. All because they chose him. Again. This is the story of how they tried to break me. And how I finally let them go. To understand what happened, you have to understand where I come from. I grew up in a small house in Ohio. Nothing special. White picket fence. No. But a green lawn and a dog named Buster. It looked normal. It sounded normal. But if you looked closer, you would see the cracks. My brother, Daniel, was 2 years older than me. And in my parents' eyes, he was the sun. I was just a small planet orbiting around him, hoping for a little warmth. Daniel was the special one. He was loud. He was charming. He got in trouble at school, and my dad would laugh it off. Boys will be boys, he'd say. I got a B+ in math, and my mom would ask why it wasn't an A. It was subtle. No one was hitting anyone. No one was screaming. It was a quiet kind of rain that soaks you slowly until you forget what dry feels like. I learned early that love was something you had to earn. And I tried so hard to earn it. I got good grades. I cleaned the house. I stayed quiet. I thought if I was perfect, if I was useful, they would look at me the way they looked at him. But they never did. Daniel was the baby. Daniel was the king. And I was just the girl in the background. So I did what any forgotten child does. I built a life for myself. I worked 2 jobs in high school. Scooping ice cream. Folding clothes at the mall. I saved every penny. I told myself, one day, I'll leave. One day, I'll have my own table and I won't have to beg for a seat at theirs. I got a scholarship to a state college. Not a fancy school. But it was mine. I studied accounting. Numbers made sense to me. Numbers don't lie. Numbers don't play favorites. While Daniel was bouncing from job to job, living in my parents' basement, I was working. Internships. Late nights. Certifications. By the time I was 25, I was a senior financial analyst. By the time I was 28, I was a manager. And by 31, I had done something no one in my family had ever done. I had become a homeowner. A small condo in the city. My name on the deed. My key in the lock. I bought a used car with cash. I had a savings account. I had a retirement fund. I had peace. I thought my parents would be proud. I thought they would finally see me. But to them, I was just the stable one. The one who didn't need anything. The one who could take care of herself. And Daniel? He was still the son. Still struggling. Still their baby. I would go to Sunday dinners and listen to them worry about him. Daniel needs a new car. Daniel is stressed about money. Daniel deserves a break. I would sit there with my quiet life, and they never asked how I was. Because I was fine. And in their eyes, being fine meant you didn't matter. 3 months ago, I got a text from my mom. It was strange. She never texts. She calls. And when she calls, it's usually to ask me to fix something for Daniel. But this text was different. It said, "Can you come over for dinner on Friday? Just us. Something important." I stared at the screen for a long time. Something important. My heart did a little flip. I thought, maybe? Maybe they finally want to celebrate me? Maybe they want to apologize for all the years of neglect? Maybe they are proud of the woman I became? I was so stupid. So hopeful. I bought a new blouse for that dinner. A soft blue one. I brought a bottle of wine. Not cheap, but not too fancy. I walked into that house with my guard down. And I walked right into a trap. The house smelled like pot roast. My mom's special recipe. My dad was in his recliner, watching the news. Daniel was there. That was the first red flag. Daniel never came to dinner. He was too busy. Too tired. Too something. But there he was. Sitting at the kitchen table looking at his hands. He looked thin. His eyes were tired. He wouldn't look at me. I said, "Hey, Danny. You okay?" He just nodded. Didn't say a word. My mom came out of the kitchen. She was wiping her hands on her apron. She had that tight smile on her face. The one she uses when she wants something. "Sarah, honey, sit down. Let's eat first. We can talk after." We ate. The food was good. But the silence was heavy. No one asked about my job. No one asked about my condo. No one asked about anything. It was just small talk. The weather. The neighbors. The price of gas. I felt the knot in my stomach getting tighter. Finally, my mom put down her fork. She looked at my dad. My dad nodded. Then she looked at me. And she said, "Sarah, sweetie, we need your help." I put my fork down. I smiled. I said, "Of course, Mom." "What is it?" She reached into her pocket and pulled out a piece of paper. It was a bank statement. Or something like it. It had a lot of numbers. A lot of red ink. And at the bottom, a balance. $510,000. I looked at it. I didn't understand. I said, "What is this?" My dad leaned forward. His voice was gruff. "That's what your brother owes." I blinked. "Owes to who?" My mom started talking fast. "It's a debt, honey. From some people. Bad people. He got in over his head. With gambling. He thought he could win it back. But he couldn't. And now they're threatening him. They're threatening us." I looked at Daniel. He was still staring at his hands. I said, "Daniel? Look at me." He looked up. His eyes were wet. He looked like a little boy. A scared, pathetic little boy. He whispered, "I'm sorry, Sarah. I messed up." I turned back to my mom. My heart was pounding. "So what does this have to do with me?" My mom took a deep breath. She smoothed the napkin on her lap. And then she said the words that changed everything. "Sarah, you have the money. We know you have savings. We know you have that retirement account. And the condo, you have so much equity in that condo. You can take out a loan against it. We talked to a banker. You can get the money. You can save your brother." I felt the world tilt. I gripped the edge of the table. I said, "You want me to pay for this? All of it?" My dad nodded. "We can't, Sarah. We're on a fixed income. We have nothing. You're the only one who can help." I looked at the paper again. $510,000. Everything I had worked for. Every late night. Every dollar I saved. Every sacrifice. My condo. My retirement. My peace. All of it. Gone. I looked at Daniel. "Did you do this?" He finally spoke. "I have a problem, Sarah. I need help. I promise. Just please. They're going to hurt me." My mom reached across the table. She tried to take my hand. I pulled away. She said, "Sarah, he's your brother. Family helps family. You have to. We need you to be the bigger person." The bigger person. That phrase. I had heard it my whole life. Be the bigger person, Sarah. Don't be jealous, Sarah. Let your brother have it, Sarah. And now, give him your life savings, Sarah. I stood up. The chair scraped against the floor. I said, I need to think. My mom's face changed. The softness vanished. Her eyes went cold. What is there to think about? This is life or death, Sarah. I shook my head. I felt numb. I said, I'm going home. I'll call you tomorrow. And I walked out. I left the pot roast. I left the wine. I left them sitting there with their plan. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in my condo looking at the walls. My walls. The ones I paid for. I looked at my bank statements online. I added it up. Savings, 140,000. Retirement, 220,000. Condo equity, about 200,000. If I sold everything, if I drained my future, I could do it. I could save him. But why? Why was this my responsibility? I didn't gamble. I didn't drink. I didn't waste money. I worked. I saved. I built. And now they wanted me to burn it all to keep my brother warm. The next morning, my phone exploded. Texts from my mom. Calls from my dad. Then the voicemails started. You're being selfish, Sarah. He's your brother. What if it was you? How can you sleep at night knowing he's in danger? I didn't answer. I went to work. I tried to focus. But I couldn't. By lunchtime, my mom was in the lobby of my office building. Crying. Making a scene. Security had to escort her out. I was mortified. My coworkers saw. My boss saw. Everyone saw. That night, I went to their house. I was done hiding. I walked in. They were all there again. Like a jury. Waiting for me. I said, I'm not paying it. My mom gasped. My dad stood up. His face was red. You will do this, he said. It's not a request. I said, it's my money. I earned it. He lost it. That's not my problem. Daniel stood up. For the first time, he looked angry. He said, you're so selfish. You always were. Hoarding your money. Playing the perfect one. You think you're better than me? I looked at him. I said, no, Daniel. I don't think I'm better than you. I just think I made different choices. My mom started crying. Real tears. She pointed at me. You are breaking this family apart. If something happens to him, it's on you. It's your fault. I felt the weight of those words. They landed on my chest. Heavy. Cold. My fault. His gambling. His debt. His choices. My fault. My dad stepped closer. He lowered his voice. It was threatening. Quiet. Sarah, listen to me. If you don't do this, don't bother coming back here. Don't bother calling your mother. Don't bother calling us for anything. Ever again. You will be dead to us. I looked at the three of them. My mother. My father. My brother. The people who were supposed to love me. And I realized they didn't love me. They loved what I could do for them. They loved my money. They loved my stability. But they didn't love me. I was just an ATM in a blue blouse. I said nothing. I turned around. And I walked out the door. The next 2 weeks were hell. The silence was the loudest thing I ever heard. No calls. No texts. They meant it. I was dead to them. I went to work. I came home. I sat in my condo. Alone. I would pick up my phone and stare at it. I wanted to call my mom. I wanted to hear her voice. I wanted to pretend it didn't happen. But it did. I cried a lot. In the car. In the shower. In the middle of the night. I felt so empty. So wrong. Was I the bad guy? Was I selfish? Maybe family does mean sacrifice. Maybe I should just do it. Just give them the money. Just make it stop. The loneliness was crushing. I felt like I was drowning and no one was coming to save me. Because the only people who could save me were the ones holding me under. Then, one night, I was watching TV. Just staring at it. And a commercial came on. It was for a law firm. Injury? Debt? Family disputes? Call us. Family disputes. I wrote the number down. It was a small act. A tiny spark in the dark. The next day, I called. I didn't know what I was doing. I just knew I couldn't carry this alone anymore. I met with a lawyer. Her name was Mrs. Davies. She was older. Calm. Sharp eyes. I told her everything. The debt. The dinner. The threats. The silence. She listened. She didn't interrupt. When I was done, she leaned back in her chair. She smiled. Not a warm smile. A professional smile. A smile that said, "I've got you." She said, "Sarah. You did the right thing. That money is yours. You are not responsible for your brother's gambling. And I want you to listen to me very carefully. There is something you can do." I leaned forward. What? She opened a file. Your brother owes money to dangerous people. That is his problem. But your parents, they tried to extort you. They tried to manipulate you. They tried to ruin your reputation at work. That is something we can address. I said, I don't want to hurt them. She looked at me. Sarah. They tried to hurt you first. They tried to take everything. Not the bad guys. Your parents. They were willing to sacrifice you to save him. That is not love. That is abuse. And you have the power to stop it. She explained the options. A cease and desist letter. A legal notice telling them to stop contacting me or harassing me. It wasn't a lawsuit. It wasn't about money. It was about boundaries. It was about protection. I signed the papers. I felt a shift. A tiny crack in the ice around my heart. I was doing something. I wasn't just sitting there, waiting to drown. I was fighting back. A week later, I got a package in the mail. It was from Mrs. Davies. Inside was a copy of the letter that was sent to my parents. It was official. It was legal. It said, in clear terms, that any further harassment would be met with legal action. It stated that I was not responsible for any debts but my own. It told them to cease all communication unless through legal counsel. I held the letter in my hands. My hands were shaking. But not from fear. From power. This was my voice. On paper. This was my boundary. Drawn in ink. The next day, my phone rang. It was my mom. I didn't answer. She left a voicemail. I listened to it. Her voice was different. Not angry. Not cold. Scared. Sarah, honey, we got this letter. What is this? This is crazy. We're your parents. You can't do this. Please call me. Please. I deleted the voicemail. Then my dad called. Then Daniel. I didn't answer. I felt the silence shifting. It wasn't their silence anymore. It was mine. I was in control now. I started going to a therapist. Someone to talk to. Someone who helped me see that I wasn't crazy. That I wasn't selfish. That I was a survivor of a very specific kind of family sickness. I learned about enmeshment. I learned about golden children and scapegoats. I learned that my parents' love was conditional and that it was okay to stop chasing it. It was the hardest work I ever did. Harder than any job. Harder than any exam. Because I had to let go of a dream. The dream that one day, they would love me right. I had to grieve the family I never had. And that grief was a deep, dark ocean. But I swam through it. Slowly. One stroke at a time. A month passed. Then another. I started to feel lighter. The condo felt like mine again. The silence felt like peace. Not loneliness. Then, one Saturday afternoon, there was a knock at my door. I looked through the peephole. It was Daniel. He looked worse. Thinner. His eyes were red. I didn't open the door. I spoke through it. "What do you want, Daniel?" His voice was cracked. "Sarah, please. Let me in. I need to talk to you." I said, "No. Talk through the door." He paused. Then he started talking. Fast. Desperate. "They took the car, Sarah. The guys. They came to the house. Mom and Dad are terrified. They said if I don't pay, they'll come back. I don't know what to do. You're the only one who can help." I closed my eyes. I leaned my forehead against the door. I felt the old pull. The guilt. The responsibility. The need to fix it. But then, I took a breath. And I remembered the letter. I remembered the therapy. I remembered the nights I cried alone. I remembered that he never once asked how I was. He never once said, "I'm sorry for putting this on you." He just wanted my money. I opened my eyes. I said, "Daniel. I'm sorry you're scared. I really am. But I can't help you. Not with money." He banged on the door. "Sarah. You have to. They're going to kill me." I said, "No, Daniel. You have to. You have to call the police. You have to get help for your addiction. You have to stand on your own 2 feet. I'm not your mother. I'm not your bank. I'm your sister. And I love you. But I will not save you." Silence. Then a sob. Then footsteps walking away. I slid down the door. And I sat on the floor. And I cried. But they were different tears. They were sad tears. Not desperate tears. I had done the right thing. For the first time I had chosen myself. And it hurt. But it was clean hurt. Not the dirty, toxic hurt they always gave me. A few weeks later, I got a letter. Not from my parents. From a lawyer I didn't know. It was a summons. My parents were suing me. For emotional distress. For failure to provide family support. It was ridiculous. It was desperate. It was their last card. They were trying to drag me to court. To shame me publicly. To force me to pay. I called Mrs. Davies. She laughed. A real laugh. She said, "This is the best thing that could happen, Sarah." I said, "How?" She said, "Because now we get to tell the whole story. In public. Under oath. We get to show the judge the real numbers. We get to show the pattern of abuse. We get to make them explain why they think their daughter is a bank. And we get to ask for legal fees." I was terrified. But I trusted her. The court date was set. I walked into that courtroom with my head high. I wore a simple suit. Gray. Professional. My parents were on the other side. My mom looked old. Worn out. My dad looked angry. Daniel wasn't there. He was in a rehab facility. Court-ordered, I heard. For his gambling. I looked at my mom. For a second, our eyes met. I didn't feel hate. I didn't feel love. I felt nothing. A hollow space where a daughter should be. Their lawyer was young. Inexperienced. He tried to make me look cold. He asked me, "Isn't it true that you have the means to help your family?" I said, "Yes. I have the means." He said, "And you chose not to?" I said, "Yes. I chose not to." He said, "And your brother is now in rehab because of this stress?" I looked at the judge. Then back at the lawyer. I said, "My brother is in rehab because of his choices. Not mine." I offered to help him find help. I offered to support him emotionally. But I would not give him money. Because giving him money would not help him. It would kill him. And it would kill me. My mom started crying in the gallery. My dad put his arm around her. The judge looked at them. Then at me. Then at their lawyer. The judge said, "Counselor, do you have any legal basis for this suit? Any contract? Any written agreement?" The lawyer stammered. "No, Your Honor. But family obligation." The judge cut him off. Family obligation is not a legal contract in this state. Case dismissed. And I am ordering the plaintiffs to pay the defendant's legal fees. The gavel banged. It was over. Just like that. I didn't celebrate. I didn't look at my parents. I just stood up and walked out. Into the sunlight. That was 3 weeks ago. I haven't spoken to my parents since. I don't plan to. Daniel finished his rehab. He sent me a letter. A real letter. Handwritten. He apologized. He said he understood now. He said he was the golden child, but that it was just another kind of prison. He said he hoped, one day, I would forgive him. Not for the money. But for never seeing me. I wrote back. I said I was proud of him for getting help. I said I loved him. But I said I needed time. And space. And that our relationship would never be the same. And it would never be about money again. I still live in my condo. It's still mine. My savings are still there. My retirement is growing. I go for walks in the evening. I drink coffee on my balcony. I have friends now. Real friends. People who like me for me. Not for what I can give them. The other day, I was cleaning out a closet. And I found that old blue blouse. The one I wore to that dinner. I held it for a minute. Then I put it in a bag for donation. I don't need it anymore. I don't need to dress up for people who don't see me. I lost my family. But I found myself. And that is worth more than $510,000. It's worth everything. My name is Sarah. I am 32 years old. And for the first time in my life, I am free.